This podcast is dealing with how the mental and social health of people with disabilities or Parkinson's gets lost in the mix.
Well, I did a podcast with Dr. George Ackerman. You can see his credentials, but and also I've followed closely Ryan Reynolds, the movie star, and Willie Geist, and they all expressed regrets of not understanding, they're either their mother or father's issues with Parkinson's or, whatever disabilities. So I wanted to kind of bring those in since they have more of a national audience.
The book by George Ackerman. The intro to our podcast with George follows later in this podcast, so stay tuned. Willie Geist has a popular Sunday morning news show, and of course his dad, Bill Geist, was on CBS for many years, so you can remember him as well.
Story, which is diagnosed at a pretty young age.
Yeah,
My
your dad was 47,
47, yeah. And denial for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, we didn't name it for a long time.
No. And that might have said Parkinson's, I think, 3 times in his entire life. It's to me.
Generational, and my dad's from the Midwest. It's a little more, they didn't have therapists in the town where he lived.
No.
But the idea that it took years before we named it.
Yeah.
And it was always the neurological thing, like that has a neural, and then finally my sister and I were like, is the neurological thing Parkinson's disease?
Yes.
The Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
And they go, well, yes, it is. So that was kind of your experience as well?
Absolutely. But I can also see why neurological condition might sound a little bit less threatening or vulnerable than Parkinson's disease. You hear disease, you go. It was my experience exactly to a T. Like you and I and your pop, that's the exact same roadmap. And I understand it, I get it. My dad was like a prideful kind of guy who I think his physical strength was was a huge asset to him. He didn't go to college, he didn't do that, all those things that he wanted for us to do. And did I let him down there. But he was very prideful, and I think that is very common in that age group and those folks who grew up in that era. And it's interesting to see how now we having kids at our age and it's just so different. There's so many tools available to us. There's so many resources available to. My kids never believe it, but when Blake and I will go out for dinner or something like that, the entire time is spent talking about how could we be better parents, how can we address their needs in ways. It's just I can't even imagine my parents having those conversations without just going, oh God, this feels like chemotherapy. The cancer's gone. Let's enjoy dinner and let's just live in here forever.
It's so true. We go to these restaurants.
Podcast and show like Ryan Reynolds, he had regrets about how he handled his dad. He thought he was going nuts. Or the one that had written a book about his mom having Parkinson's. And there's a lot of other things that you'll see that come up that people have regrets. And I'll say, from my viewpoint, why they had regrets. Well, Lida Adkins is a great caregiver, and the thing I think about her situation there was that I didn't know exactly how to handle my brother. He's 4 years older, and I have quite a few regrets on that just because I didn't really know how to approach that situation, and I know he understood a lot more than I thought he did at the time.
You're wondering what a put back is like. Well, I got 2 of them, and you can see here they're running 125 each. They have an error message. It's usually leak or blocked, because you can block one of these tubes very quickly. But they go down to your feet, and you got one on one foot and one on the other. And you can see they're a little awkward to kind of deal with, but It captures the fluids and it's supposed to make the heal faster. Although it's been a slow process. I've had them on since middle of January, and probably the other one last 2 or 3 weeks. So different problems, but they do take a while. And well, in the quiet of the night, many times the alarms go off. You can see this in the 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and how it's handled, but not handled the way you'd hope to be. In fact, you do a lot of self as far as fixing, and so I got to know what the equipment looks like. It's kind of kludged up. You're the appeal nurse, or what are you saying?
Yeah, I give you medicine every morning.
Okay, so I mean that one there probably got stretched out when it fell off the end of the bed, and I mean I don't think it's critical till in the morning.
Yeah, you have to put your feet back up with this thing.
I don't have a problem doing that. I
Why?
can well, when it stretched out and fell off over here, it pulled it out, and I couldn't get to it.
No, I'm talking about if you put your feet back up here, this can stay over here.
Oh well, it's not the best place for it to be. I don't see anything that you can help me with, really.
No, I can't.
So
If you're going to stay like that, you're going to drop it and break it.
Yeah.
When you get ready to go to bed, let us know.
Okay, well, thanks for helping.
I feel better, but
How is your daughter?
I don't know if she's doing very well or not. They're trying to do dialysis, and they've haven't got to that point yet. But she's not been able to do her chemo, and they've been loading her up with blood and all the other potassium, and I think she had one deal of that. I saw her yesterday, and I think her color looked good because she had so much stuff that.
Was that like a Zoom thing, or did you see her in person?
I actually got a chance to go over to the house because I was a little frustrated with all the stuff that's been going on. As you can tell, I had, I don't know, the kidney doctor and heart doctor over to St. Vincent's had turned me loose, or released me, and the PCP there at the Rehab said I didn't meet their standards to come back over there. So
where are you living now?
well, I'm back over there, but it was kind of like I had to put, I don't know, we had to put a little pressure. I think St. Vincent's must have put pressure on them to don't tell us that nonsense or something. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know the discussion, but
But your daughter's safe and maybe a little better. Is your wife doing all right?
well, she's pretty well took my bedroom and everything, turned it over to Christy. So I'm kind of out in the I don't know. It's funny, you have this discussion.
I always felt I could sacrifice anything for my wife or my kids, but I wasn't sacrificing anything for my wife's boyfriend.
Well, this is not a boyfriend, but that's bad. I mean, I don't know. It's one of
Other
those.
than I was willing to donate lead at high speed.
Well, that's the thing about this go around is, I think that I did so much stuff with my daughter that I think it would
I'm
be.
going to lower your head, and I'm going to reposition the bed before I lower the head.
Okay. I think it would be better to be around, but my son and my daughter, my wife have kind of.
Thank you.
Oh.
Not an air pop, but I felt the strain. So readjust.
But it's been kind of crazy.
I know, and you've been very patient through it, and you have put your daughter first, and you got to be congratulated.
Well, I know I don't want to. I was
And
thinking.
your daughter needs your wife.
Well,
and your wife needs the space so that she can take care of your daughter. So.
I know. The thing about it is,
circular argument.
I know, because I was
Yeah, what do you want to do? You want to do Red Drive or you want to do?
I just think this.
always the one that took her places for the most part.
Uh-huh.
I say I was the one that took her places for the most part, but you know, my wife.
Everybody supports in different ways.
I know the thing there is, you're kind of a man without a country. So I don't know what to say at this point. It's kind of been crazy.
Oh, you just don't have a home with you.
Well-
Buy another one of those if you ever need one.
Yeah, I don't know where I'll be. It's funny, and it's gets to be a little bit silly. The whole thing.
Yeah, it's silly when people don't treat each other well for whatever reason.
Yeah, right.
It is. Isn't it?
It's doing what?
When people aren't kind
Yeah,
for no good reason.
I know. There's, when you've been diagnosed with Parkinson's, people think that you should be, I guess it's physically and mentally on the same level, and I think mentally I'm still on a pretty good level.
Oh,
So
mentally you're fine.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've done a lot of this. That's one of the reasons I did these podcasts. That I wanted to do conversational things where people would see what I'm doing. But
Well, Miss Flair, I think you look better.
yeah, well,
I know you were in the hospital. I know you got a lot going on, but the wounds are clean. They're slowly filling in.
yeah.
You know, I liked it when we were using the back. If you wanted to go back to the back, that would be fine. Especially for the left foot, it has a lot of volume.
I'd prefer not to, but
All right, if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's
Okay.
clean and it'll heal. It's just going to be slower.
oh yeah, I think
The main advantage of the back is handling drainage and increasing the speed of healing. You don't have a lot of drainage to handle, and the wound will heal as long as you keep pressure.
yeah, I
off
think
of
it. Yeah, I know a lot of people look at it different opinions, but and I appreciate what you're saying. I just know that I've had. It's been really nice this last week or so.
Most people say a week without me is like a month of sunshine.
Yeah, this.
Um,
So you'd think if I had a rehab and they got nurses there, that they could do the thing that we couldn't do at home, and that's one of the reasons we thought the back would be better because
I think the back got you over the hump. You came in here with total necrosis on both sides.
Yeah, you had some rough.
And now you've got beautiful red tissue.
Okay.
I think a silver dressing would be fine. I do not think you have to have a wet to dry dressing.
Okay.
Today we just did gauze because we wanted to stop the bleeding.
Well,
So I'm going to
know.
recommend a silver dressing every other day.
Okay.
And
I know that.
I think you're on the right path.
Well, I feel I am. I probably got being confident doctor. It's you, and I'm not saying it just because of the situation, but I know.
Well, I like flattery. Doesn't win you many points, but I like it.
Well, the thing is, I've gotten so many different ones that
There's not one right answer in medicine.
No.
And if anything infuriates me, I mean, I use really old school stuff here.
Well, that's kind of what we've been
Some
doing.
young nurse will tell the patient, well, he did the absolute wrong thing. Meaning
Well.
she knows one way to treat a wound, and what I did wasn't what she knows.
That's
There are
one thing
a lot
about
of
being
different
in
ways to do these things.
technology and software. I had to listen a lot to customers, and when you went to a lot of these countries, you couldn't just tell them what you want them to do, even though you knew better. You had to work through some things, and you had, like
It's always good to have options.
yeah, and the mental. You got to that point too, about the mental aspect of it.
The best is I was in Alabama with a friend, and his axle locked up. And so, his wife was from Alabama. So they called the guy at the next town that they knew who was a car dealer. And he said, well, he was about 30 miles away. He said, well, I'll meet you at the Kentucky Fried Chicken on Sunday. And so we drove over to the Kentucky Fried Chicken with a family member to pick the car.
Yeah.
And he and his wife had driven 2 cars, and one was like the plainest sedan you've ever seen, and the other one was a hippie van, had everything on it. We left with the hippie van. So it's always good to give people options and let them make their decision.
I know.
What they need at the time.
Well, that's what I found too. Is culturally, a lot of things you got to have some options there, and it does get to mental and spiritual and a lot of other things that's kind of come into play. I've got a real good friend that he comes to visit a lot, and I said, well, you know, you can do a lot of things, but when you're here face to face, it's quite a bit different. You know, you just have a lot different feeling about it. And I was kind of taught that when I went out and sold software and we spend a lot of money going face to face.
Face to face is everything.
It's a trust.
And it's the joy of medicine, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
There's this young lady, I just got credentialed up at Rogers because we run a clinic in Rogers. Really bright, motivated young lady was head of credentialing, and I was wondering why she didn't go to med school. She did. She didn't like it. She didn't like all that face-to-face interaction. And
Yeah, you gotta
went
like
back to
that.
the credentialing office, and I thought she's missing the best part of medicine.
I'd say.
She's an
But
introvert or doesn't
everybody
like
has
Well, that's
their
kind
own needs.
that's what I found in technology is it's a lot different if you get your guys that's in the back room developing, going out and doing the support thing and meeting a customer and seeing a real life situation. Because you see that so often that they try to figure out a solution and it's not going to work.
Yeah, but as a customer of technology, I like to talk to the guy that knows the answers.
Yeah. And
I don't want somebody that's going to BS me or constantly tell me he'll check back and have somebody email me.
Well,
You reach out.
we were pretty
I
successful.
like a subject matter expert to be
Yeah.
sitting across the table.
Well, it's a little bit like how we were successful internationally. We were cross trained, or we were Swiss Army knife people. Were
You knew enough to get what you needed.
well, they could call one source and get a solution versus having to pay a bunch of specialists
What's the use
come
on
in.
the other foot? Same thing.
Same thing.
All right, keep your weight on your toes.
All right,
You
okay.
look like you have a good setup. We'd like to see you weekly if possible. I know we have to live within their rules.
I know, but I can work around. I found a way to get around a few things.
Good. Being insistent's one.
Yeah, well,
Being a squeaky wheel.
yeah, I know.
Gets the grace.
I'll give you some more information on it. Hey,
Okay. We talked about I'm up there for the cancer. I'm there for getting the blood levels up to a level where I can do some treatment. They're called PAD, or peripheral arterial disease. So I enjoyed meeting Dr. Andrew.
Next week.
Okay.
But I'm betting that's what you're going to need. I'm going to give you this for your records. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and order the Retacrit next week, assuming that's what you need, so that we can get it covered by insurance, get you on the schedule. And then if something changes in the meantime and you need something different, we'll call you.
Okay. That come back here to do that, or where you do that?
Yes, sir. You do that here in this building. Okay. Unless one of the other car ties is closer for you, North Little Rock, Pine Bluff,
This is probably close.
Stuttgart, any of those,
I'm over to Villas.
Conway. But that's normally something we do here, and it may not be every. We'll start about every 2 weeks to build you up, and then we maybe would be able to space it out as you respond. Some people get it once every couple months, and they do okay with that. But we're going to build it up some. It's too low.
So, how do you connect all this with a wound, and wound clinic and all that? Is it something that happens frequently, or is
We'll send a note over there. The wound has nothing to do with your blood counts, other than if you're bleeding, that's dropping your blood count some too. So if they need to fix the wound, then they can go and fix the wound.
well, they've been trying to. They've got, they got the wound vacs and got them on both feet now, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of a hassle. I'm just trying to figure out if there's
If it's a blood flow problem, if we get you some more blood in there, that may help you heal it up some and make it safer if they need to do any kind of intervention, stents, anything like that. But that's not stuff we do at Carta. It's done by the
Okay.
vascular clinic, the wound clinics, things like that.
Sure.
But we're going to look and make sure we're not missing anything, but I would start these booster shots unless you hear otherwise. It'll probably be next week or so before we get it approved and get all the labs back to verify that's what you need.
Since they sent me the card type, is there anything about the cancer or anything that I'm missing there? I don't really know what all they're looking for. I know that, like you said,
For cancer, your primary doctors will set up a colonoscopy, a prostate screen called a PSA. Have you had a PSA checked and a colonoscopy in the last few years?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't usually redo all those. I'm a blood and cancer specialist. They sent you over for the blood side of things.
Okay, well,
if they saw something on any of those that they're concerned about, they didn't share that with me.
Okay, well, that's fine.
But usually blood counts are low for other reasons like kidneys or things. The kidney cancer you had all those years ago, that usually is monitored by your kidney surgeon, the urologist.
I've seen both of those.
When's the last time you had a scan for that?
Probably recently. I've been to the kidney and urologist.
Is that Dr. Cousins, your urology doctor?
Yeah,
At Arkansas
I think he did a
Urology?
scan I think he did.
Okay.
He couldn't do an MRI because
Okay.
I have a pacemaker. So.
Yeah. So as long as he's happy with things, I'm happy with things. I would do whatever he's telling. Usually once a year scan for about 5 years, and they stop doing scans.
Okay.
But I'm okay with that. If he sees something concerning, then have him send me the results, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay. But they sent you for the blood side of things, not necessarily for a cancer problem.
Okay. Well, that's
Well, you can tell I was quizzing the part-time doctor. He had a background of the Mayo Clinic, so I knew he had a lot of current information, and he had recommended particularly a shot that would get my, my lab levels up to I could do the next peripheral arterial disease thing on my right leg and see if I could get some issues that might clear up my concerns with my right heel as well as my left heel that's already seemed to be improving. Well, the strange thing about this, and it happened numerous times, that's why I'm bringing the subject up, was I could go out and then my urologist or kidney doctor might direct me to someone like this, a specialist. I get a recommendation, and I get back and I said, well, from the PCP at the rehab was that I'd have to be discharged from the rehab center so that this could be run through the apartheid group. I guess it's a Medicare consideration on cost. And so something I'm not totally aware of, but the PCP of the rehab, and I've already covered this in a previous, as far as podcasts, so you can go back and look at that if you want to, as far as all the concerns both ways. I mean, I'm kind of open-minded just until it starts affecting me directly on a lot of things, and I got a lot of anecdotal stuff that's of concern, what you're trying to do and what you get out of something, and not get into an endless loop of trying to do something and not get anything accomplished, and of course feeling better now. But that's because I got to go see the person that helped with the right leg, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But getting back to the point there was that I had other things where I was getting a blood sugar test, and I was getting those about 3 or 4 times a day. Everything was kind of turning good, and they were talking, well, maybe 2 or 3 times out of 100 days or whatever. I had some insulin, or they just put a shot in my stomach, and but very rarely. And I kept asking that question, and we got to the point where I wondered why. And finally, that was stopped. I said that my regular PCP, he was doing the A1G or A1C, and is under 7, and so I didn't see a need. So we kept on doing that. So I just wanted to kind of alert you that when you're into this loop, you might see things that might not cost much, but sometimes they cost a lot more. The fact that you end up getting into a loop where you kind of continually do the same thing over and over again. I guess that's the definition Einstein gave of somebody maybe crazy or whatever, trying to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for all those still battling PD and their families, because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone I've grown close with, pretty new, but someone who inspires me every day. Wanted to welcome you, Herb, to the show, and just a real honor to finally get the opportunity to advocate together.
Well, same here. I know, some of the things you're experiencing, what I'm experiencing are some of they parallel. And so I think it's always great to talk with people that see it from two different directions. And I really enjoy this opportunity, and I enjoy your podcast as well as the information. I've got your book over here somewhere, so I have looked through that and enjoyed all the the experiences that you had, and what maybe you could may have done better, and what you may not have expected to happen. So I think I'm kind of in that same boat, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about that.
And we spoke a few shows ago with another guest, and how Parkinson's obviously is some days very frustrating, horrible, but then it also brings together people like us, which to me, it means the world. So although obviously I lost my best friend mother, I met so many inspiring people like yourself that really is the reason I still do this and won't stop till there's a cure at everybody's doorsteps around the world. Maybe you could start us off today by just telling the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I guess I'm kind of a nerd in a sense. I grew up in technology, and first job out of college was at the CIA in Langley. So that was an experience in itself, because it was, the late 60s when the Vietnam and everything was coming together. And so you kind of understand a lot of, you get out there and around a lot of people. But after that, I worked for a couple of oil companies. That's people that had computers or mainstream or mainframe. And then eventually I ended up back to my home area. We had a daughter that's born with oral digital syndrome. Some people by looks will think she's Down syndrome, but she's got very, very good intellect. And it kind of helped me in management of people, in a sense that there are a lot of creative people out there that have a lot of things different. So that helped me. But as we progressed here and getting to the story of the Parkinson's, I was having some family difficulties of just getting along. And some people said, he's kind of delusional. But, I didn't have tremors. And sometimes when people don't have tremors, they kind of misdiagnose what you do have. And so I went to some professionals in a nearby city in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they kind of misdiagnosed it because they were led to a different thinking about what my delusions might be about. So it was about 4 years later before it was confirmed as Parkinson's, and it was after I'd had major back surgery. So that's an important thing is, you have to pursue these things. And what I found at that time was there were a lot of things you could do, but a lot of the things I did was things I found out about and got involved with. Being a technologist, I would try to look at everything from a spinal cord stimulator, because I had neuropathy and a lot of other issues to deal with. So when you got into that, but I was looking and thinking about everything. And so I think sometimes what the message is from my standpoint is, you really have to pursue a lot of things, because even the doctors sometimes
they will throw out ideas, but you have to follow up and do those in order to be successful and maintain maybe your cognitive skills or your speech. And that's, we were visiting earlier, I just got off a 30-minute session with my speech, speaking with intent, which coaches me on how to speak, because I've done some podcasts with some people that have kind of put themselves in a corner, and they're very intelligent people, but they don't communicate very well, and they've about lost their voice. So I see a lot of things from my viewpoint that I think it's from the 2016, I guess, final diagnosis that have kept me going at a better rate. And I have captured a lot of that on my podcast, Finding Your Happy Place, because I want to talk to a variety of people, and I always use the method of conversation so that we don't get into a set interview. And that's, I think it's a purpose I have, and it also gives me a ability to communicate that to people. It's not about something that's rehearsed or something that you practice on, but something you're willing to take, changes. And being a software developer, that was something I always had to do anyway. So that's kind of the way it all came about.
And I also want to dedicate and think about this show for your daughter. So we're sending love and support to, and really important, because I think the people who you surround or surround you are just as important, because you wouldn't be able to do your advocacy if it wasn't for their love and support. So we send
Well,
our.
I think that what I've done is, when she's comfortable with it, we went out to Phoenix, Arizona a year or so ago, and we wanted to get out and do the driverless cars, things that AI or other things might enter into her life at some point. So not to be afraid of those things, and it could be, for now, Uber or Lyft or something, but there's always something coming down the road, either for myself or people I'm associated with. So that's the important thing of when you get into these situations, and it helps you to kind of feed off each other and do that. And my wife has been diagnosed with cancer in the last couple of years, and so she's been helpful, but she's tried to stay in the background. And that's, I appreciate the privacy of anybody and everybody, and I deal with that with family and everybody else. But you develop a lot of new friends and camaraderie through programs like the Rocksteady Boxing or some other programs that we have here at UAMS, the medical college here, where we do we do some art, we do some music, and we do some things with uh, culinary, the cooking of where we're giving recipes, and we cook things, and we're there with other people with Parkinson. So I think it's important to stay active, but also be around people that are supportive. Sometimes you can be around people, and some of these are old friends that they want to remember you as you were, and if you take a different personality on, and one of the odd things about mine, and I've talked about this to my neurologist, is that I've been more active and more of an extrovert than I was before, because as a lot of times as somebody that's into computers, you're more introvert, and so that's a different personality for me. And some people like that, and some people don't. So that's one of the things I've dealt with. I just had my daughter picking up my dog this year, so that's the way podcasts are, as you know.
Everyone's
So,
welcome. We're animal friendly. We love
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
want to say,
Sometimes you'll hear them barking in the background or whatever. It's a funny part of the life of doing these. I like to go out. I went out to the Arkansas Academy or Museum of Fine Arts, and it was just a perfect, setting and everything. But when I could get out with an executive director or go somewhere, you always find stories about Parkinson's, and her mother has Parkinson's up in Cleveland, and so I didn't know that till we started doing the podcast, and I thought, those are the real stories that you find out about, that people are willing to do something with you, and then you see how
they may have a close relationship that we can build the podcast around. It's totally different than I went into the podcast thinking, well, we'll talk about the museum and maybe the art there, but then we shifted over to her mother, and we found out a lot of things that we had a lot of similar stories on. So that's kind of where I come from when I do something like this, or do something that is that I don't shy away from something new and change, because that's been my life in technology. You have to adjust for something and try something new, or at least look at things. So that's one of the directions I'm coming from on what I do, and what what I try to help people with is the worst thing you can do is to not be active, or be put in a position where you don't stay active in thinking out things, or doing things, or going and doing, and that's where I think people fall off so much faster, because I've been able to record a lot of things as to how I'm doing now and how I was doing, and so I can relate that to people, and I can give them some transparency on those things, so that when they run across this and they see these things, what do they need to do? And the tendency sometimes is to not do anything, and you really need to do something. So and you can tell a lot about a person by how they communicate, and how they are handling certain things. And some people, if they have an issue, they don't want to go talk to a doctor, and that may be the worst thing could happen.
Yeah. I think all the
There's a story that recurs in Arkansas entrepreneurship and technology. Arkansans start a software company. It goes national, and then it goes global. And here's another episode of that story. Herb Lair earned his bachelor's and master's degrees in mathematics from UA Fayetteville in the 1960s. And then he went to Langley, Virginia to do top secret scientific programming for the CIA. After that, he worked in the oil and gas industry on a variety of computers, ranging from device control to operations research. And then one day his family situation mandated a return to Harrison, Arkansas, and Herb went from cutting edge to working in the family service station and TV and appliance store. Herb soon added a computer service bureau to the offerings, a business model that he refers to as the Stone Age of cloud computing. Herb's new company, Computer Utility of the Ozarks, CUO, automated payroll, accounting, and many other systems for local and regional businesses. And that included software for the local cable TV system. He soon developed a package for cable TV billing, interfaces, and other applications that was based on the IBM Series 1 mini computer. Soon he had a second customer in Rogers. And from there, Herb was off around the country again, installing this software all across the US. Then the PC came along, and that meant rewriting the software for a desktop platform. Once he had this in place, he began to focus on sales to consolidators, such as Time Warner, and even international sales, first in Canada, then Asia, the Caribbean, and Europe. Herb was leading an effort from Harrison that saw his software deployed in more than 50 countries. CUO had gone global, a great example of the Arkansas software industry. From Indonesia to Hungary, application needs were met by CUO. Herb exited from CUO via a merger with a large California company, but he continues his work as a consultant to businesses, to startups, and he's very active professionally on social media, and focuses on the future of things. Very interesting person to follow. We welcome Herb Lair. You have something you would like to say?
No, I guess I'm one of the older ones here so far, and I guess when you get to my age, you've seen a lot of things, and one of the things that you're called upon a lot is that you have a large network of people that you've developed, and a lot of that is not only what you know, but who you know, and you kind of try to work that, but also there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I now look at it from the standpoint of what can happen in Arkansas, and all the technology that's that's been done in the past and what can be done in the future, because that's one of the things I saw right off. The quality of life is important, and you can work remotely, and we did amazing a lot of these things before the internet, and so if you have the right skills and right opportunity, you can do those things. So I appreciate the honor. It's great to I know a lot of you from our paths across different times, where it's Arkansas Systems or other things, and indirectly through Jerry Damrow, he's been a key person with a lot of people in technology in Arkansas. So it's a great honor, and I appreciate the recognition.
You're very welcome, Herb. Thank you.
Well, there once was a fiddler, he lived in Arkansas. Rode his own tobacco and he always had a chaw. He saddled up his pony and he tightened up the girth, and he said, we're gonna travel every country on the earth. Well, the Arkansas traveler, he had a winning way. Everywhere he traveled, they would try to make him stay. Then he'd saw up on his fiddle and he'd take another chaw and say, I wish, by golly, I was back in Arkansas. He traveled to the east and he traveled to the west, but he couldn't keep from thinking of the land he loved the best. Every little while he would take another chaw and say, I wish, by golly, I was back in Arkansas. Well, he traveled over China till he got a bait of rice. He broke him up in Turkey with a pair of loaded dice. The British tried to whip him, but he laid him in the sand, and he really got a welcome when he got to Ireland. Well, the Arkansas traveler had a winning way. Everywhere he traveled, they would try to make him stay. Then he'd saw up on his fiddle and he'd take another chaw and say, I wish, by golly, I was back in Arkansas. Traveled to the east and he traveled to the west, but he couldn't keep from thinking of the land he loved the best. Every little while he would take another chaw and say, I wish, by golly, I was back in Arkansas. Somebody got his saddle when he got to Mexico. In Texas there was trouble, but he beat him to the draw, and he slipped across the border to his home in Arkansas. Well, the Arkansas traveler, he had a winning way. Everywhere he traveled, they would try to make him stay. Then he'd saw up on his fiddle and he'd take another chaw and say, I wish, by golly, I was back in Arkansas. He traveled to the east and he traveled to the west, but he couldn't keep from thinking of the land he loved. I had a cow that slobbered bad down in the Arkansas. I took her to my great-granddad way down in the Arkansas. I asked him what to do for it down in the Arkansas. Grandpa said, teach that cow to spit way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas. I knew a man and his name was Jack down in the Arkansas. He had a hog called a razorback way down in the Arkansas. The strangest thing you ever hear down in the Arkansas. He used that hog to shave his beard way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas. They had a wedding that couldn't be beat down in the Arkansas. A boy named Oates and a girl named Wheat way down in the Arkansas. The people sang in a major key down in the Arkansas. They sang What Shall the Harvest Be way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas. When I was just a little lad down in the Arkansas, my ma got married to my dad way down in the Arkansas. Grandpa got mad and cussed a while down in the Arkansas, till Grandma said it's the latest style way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas. I had a gal, her name was Lil, down in the Arkansas. I hugged that gal all over the hill way down in the Arkansas. Her pa ran up and called me son down in the Arkansas. He tied the knot with his rifle gun way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas. They drink a tea made out of corn down in the Arkansas. It makes you a man the day you're born way down in the Arkansas. They court the girls from their knee high down in the Arkansas. Keep on a court until the day they die way down in the Arkansas. Down in the down in the down in the Arkansas. The sweetest girl I ever saw was down in the Arkansas.